To most people, the more than 24 oil rigs off the Southern California coast are just big, ugly eyesores.
But to fish and millions of other marine animals, they appear to provide refuge, a safe spot to swim, feed, and reproduce. So, should they stay or should they go? Our colleague David Ono joins us now for a closer look. David.
Mark, Michelle, there are 27 platforms off our coast. Part of the deal when the platforms were built was that oil companies would pay for the complete removal of the immense structures when the oil dried up. But now there's a push to keep the rigs in place.
You know, diving on the platforms to me is just spectacular.
When marine biologist Chris Lowe looks at an offshore oil rig, he sees something most of us don't.
You'll get thousands, maybe even millions of bait fish swirling around in these beautiful silvery balls. Sea lions are diving through them.
It seems to defy reason, something so alien to nature, sustaining life in a way most never would have imagined. Dr. Lowe and his students at Cal State Long Beach are diving Eureka on this day, 15 miles off the coast. The question at the heart of their research: do these oil rigs give refuge to fish and other marine life?
We've taken fish off an oil platform and translocated them to natural habitat to see if they would home back. And it turns out about 25% of the fish that we've taken off have actually gone back to their platform, and they've done it within a couple days to a week.
George Steinbach is with CARE.
Yeah, what you see above the water is not even half the story.
A group funded primarily by oil companies. They want to keep California's offshore oil rigs in place even after the oil has run dry. It's a move that would save oil companies up to $1 billion in removal and cleanup costs. CARE created this video to prove its point.
There's millions of fish and perhaps millions and billions of invertebrates that either live on or are attached around the platforms or attached to the platforms.
Removal of the rigs would be a death sentence for creatures that call the rigs home.
They have to use explosives to dislodge it from the seafloor, and quite often the sonic blast that comes from that can kill a lot of fish.
Joe Geaver of the Surfrider Foundation is against any plan that would leave the oil rigs in place. He says the name Rigs to Reef oversimplifies a complicated issue.
Beyond just these oil platforms, now they're talking about wave energy facilities and LNG terminals and all sorts of industrial uses in the ocean. And does this set up a precedent for once you're done with that stuff, you just leave your junk behind and call it something quaint?
Other opponents point to this: nearly 4 million gallons of oil spilled off the coast of Santa Barbara back in 1969 when Union Oil's Platform A suffered a blowout. The massive toxic oil slick tarred 35 miles of coastline and killed thousands of marine mammals, seabirds, and fish. Opponents say any oil rig left in place leaves open the possibility of another spill. Today, California's oil rigs are home to sea lions, seabirds, and all kinds of fish.
We saw quite a few Garibaldi down there, a lot of blacksmith.
Researchers and anglers say the rigs have become favorite fishing holes.
We saw quite a few of jack mackerel and sardines, just little bait fish.
But that raises another question: the safety of eating that fish.
Are those heavy metals and other pollutants accumulating in the flesh of the fish that people would be catching on these reefs?
You know, some of the studies that have been done looking at pollution effects on the platforms have actually showed that the water quality out there is cleaner, so mussels and things like that are cleaner than they are along the coast. I would eat fish or invertebrates that were taken off the platform. I wouldn't be concerned with that.
One other option on the table is to leave the legs of the platforms in place but cut off the tops so the rigs won't be visible from shore. The State Resource Agency is studying all the options, and a decision could come within the year. Much more on Rigs to Reefs on our website, abc7.com. Mark, Michelle, back to you.
All right.